Hi, it's Michelle with Books Cause Insomnia, and I'm here to do the spooky book tag and drink my coffee. If you see me looking down, I'm just looking at my list here. Number 1, Corn Maze. What book had you confused and lost from the very beginning? Well, that one is pretty easy for me. It was definitely Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. I don't know if you've read this, but it's really good. I loved it. I give it 5 stars, and it definitely had me guessing the whole time. It was hard to put down. It was a very quick read, and I look forward to reading it again. Number 2, Haunted House. What book has the creepiest setting? Okay, I've been talking about this book a lot lately, and I don't know. I had read a couple books by this author, and I enjoyed one of them. The other one I was kind of lukewarm about, but this book I love. It was very creepy to me, and the setting was so chilling. I can't stop thinking about how chilling the book was. And that was The Death of Mrs. Westaway by Ruth Ware. And I found this book for $1 at a thrift shop, and it was half off. So I got it for 50 cents. And it's one that I plan on reading again and again. I love this book. So what was creepy about it was the book is about a woman who is, I think, in her 20s, and she lives alone, and she lives in like an area where she doesn't feel safe. She works in an area where she doesn't feel safe. And then she has to go, I'm not going to get real into like what any of these books are about, but she goes on a journey. And when she goes on this journey, she really doesn't feel safe, and it's creepy, and it's really good. Number 3, Ghost Boyfriend. Who is your eternal book boyfriend? Well, I've kind of gone back and forth on this a little bit, but I think my book boyfriend is going to be Jack from the Lily Bard series that Charlaine Harris wrote. He's a detective, he's an ex-detective who's a PI now. And there's just something kind of sexy about him. He's like a manly man that gets in fights and solves crime, but yet he's very loyal at the same time. And I think that's pretty hot. And I think he's in all 5 books. I'm showing you the first book. Hopefully he's in this first one. I think this is when they introduce him. Anyway, he's in the series though. And I think this series is a really good series. It's really worth reading. I will probably do a series spotlight on this series eventually. It looks like a lot of you enjoyed my very first series spotlight that I did recently on Krista Davis and her book series, The Domestic Diva. So I will probably do one also on the Lily Bard series by Charlaine Harris. Caramel Apple Suckers. Best dang Halloween book ever. Well, okay, here we go. Speaking of Krista Davis, who I love. This book is so fun. It's got a haunted house, it's got Halloween decorations, it's got Halloween costumes, and it's also got some people that the main character, Sophie, thinks might be vampires. So I definitely think this is a good Halloween book. And I'm sad I haven't had a chance to read it yet this year, and by now I'm kind of out of time to read anything else before Halloween. Number 5. Oh, vampires and everything. Speaking of vampires, what is your least favorite Halloween trope? Okay, I like tropes where people have to go back home and don't feel like going back home. I think a lot of us feel that way. It's like, oh, I gotta go back home. I'm like living my best adult life now. I don't want to go back home. I don't want to remember junior high and high school and whatever. I like that part. But what I don't like is when it'll be a situation where it's like a small town and like something bad happened there like 30 years ago. And the town is just so haunted by it. That's all anybody in the whole town ever thinks about or talks about all these years later. I just don't think that's realistic. I think people do move on. And I don't know, maybe I just haven't been to a town small enough. I feel like I have been, but I don't think that anything that could happen, I think people kind of move on from. I mean, sure, people in junior high or high school might feel freaked out by the house where that guy killed his parents, 15 years ago. I know there was one of those when I was in high school. But like the whole town wasn't like haunted by it. People weren't constantly looking over their shoulders, worried about whether his ghost was around the corner or, now granted it was a solved crime, but you know what I mean though? It just seems kind of a bit much when people are that haunted by something that happened so long ago, when how many people have even been in the town for 30 years, right? It's like there'll be all these people that have moved there since then that are even haunted. And it's just like, okay, come on. You didn't even know the person that got killed or that disappeared or whatever. I don't know. Number 6, pumpkin and everything. Your favorite Halloween trope. Well, my favorite Halloween trope is probably something that's based on a true story. That gets to me every time. Freaks me out. And that's not just books. It's TV shows and movies too. In fact, okay, I'm going to date myself here, but when the Blair Witch Project came out, I went to that movie on opening night, and to my knowledge, I had never seen a movie that was a home video that's since been released, and me and my date both thought that this was actual footage that had been put together and put in a movie. And it really scared us. And I guess we were so freaked out. I don't think that we noticed the credits that there was like the name and then the actor's name or something, because we thought it was real. We went home. I couldn't sleep that night. I remember the whole theater was just freaked out. And then about a week after it came out, they had announced something on the news about how people think this movie... Hey! Martin. Come here. The cats are fighting. You're okay. Oh, I'm sorry, Marty. They had actually announced on the news that, yeah, apparently a bunch of people thought this movie was real. And that's how I found out it wasn't real. I really did think it was. That movie scared me more than any movie probably ever will again, because I thought it really happened. And even when it's just based on true events, like the Conjuring movies, that's creepy to me because those are based on things that actually happened. Hi, Marty. That's a lot for me to deal with. So let me know down in the comments what's the movie that creeped you out the most, or what's a trope that freaks you out the most. I would love to hear. Number 8, Oujji Board, a book that messes with things that you don't want to be involved in. Sorry, I got Marty like winding around my legs right now. Okay, that would definitely, I thought about this one for a little bit. The Marriage Pact. So in this book, it's almost like a cult where people join it when they first get married, not knowing what it is, and they control your marriage, and like all kinds of weird stuff happens. And I'm telling you, I don't want anyone but my husband and myself to be involved in our marriage or the decisions that are made about it or how our money is spent or anything. And this book, that really freaked me out, the thought of people being totally in control like that. So this is definitely, it's called The Marriage Pact by Michelle Richmond. It's like a Stepford Wives kind of thing. No, that would be my answer. And I'm sticking to it. Would you stop knocking things over, please? Having cats is kind of like having toddlers sometimes. Number 9, full moon. What character do you turn into on the full moon? Well, It depends on what full moon it is. Sometimes I'm the Wicked Witch of the West, that's for sure. I mean, I can be a lot to handle sometimes. But other times I'm Glenda. That's a really hard one to answer because depending on my mood and depending on my hormonal state, I can be very mystical and very zen and very happy, or I can be the meanest person you've ever met. So I don't know how to say what I'm like under the full moon. Depends on, hey, depends on, yeah. Did you just hit my paper with your tail? He like smacked it too. Did you hear that? Like he's losing it a little bit. Hey, stop. Number 10, All Hallows Eve. The other world and this world have meshed for one night. What book world would you love to be swept up in? Well, once again, this world that Krista Davis has created for her Domestic Diva series, I love the town. I love the characters. That would be the world that I would want to be in if I could live in a book world. Number 11, Voodoo Doll. What author would you love to take control of and make them write you anything you want? Well, that would probably be Megan Collins. She wrote this book right here, The Family Plot. And then I've got her other 2 books back here, Behind the Red Door and The Winter Sister. She writes very haunting books that they're haunting but healing at the same time, and kind of like amusing and light and airy and sometimes funny. For me, it's perfection though. It kind of checks off every box of what I like. And I don't know that I necessarily want her to write a certain kind of book for me. I just want her to write more of them because I have not read enough of her books, and I want to have 5 or 6 of her books that I can just kind of cycle through when I'm feeling up to it. But I guess it might be kind of neat if she wrote like a Halloween themed book or a Christmas themed book. Ooh, or like, ooh, it'd be cool if she wrote a Thanksgiving book where like something really bad happens at Thanksgiving when somebody goes home for the holidays. Ooh, Megan, if you're watching, I'm just saying. Number 12, Black Cat. What red flags do you look for when first starting out a book? Okay, I have got a definite one. I don't like perfect characters. I can't stand that. In fact, I think that was part of why I felt so insecure about being who I was for a long time, is the books that I read in junior high and high school and even just in the 90s in general. It was like every character was like perfect. Like Ken and Barbie with like a Corvette and a mansion. Everybody was rich. It was just beautiful and wonderful, and everybody loves this character, and they've got the gorgeous husband too, and everything's so perfect. And I hate that. That's a red flag for me. I don't want perfection. I've never met anybody in real life that's that damn perfect, so like I don't want to read about them in a book either. Number 13, Witch's Brew, a book that had a lot of different components thrown in, but the result was magical. A really good example of something like that is Blood Like Magic by Liselle Sambury. This is a book about a teenage witch who's in a witch family living in a town in Canada that has a bunch of witches. It's in the future. So she's kind of created this whole world that's a little bit different from maybe the world that I'm living in or the world that you're living in. But I really like it. And it's just very different, and it's enjoyable. I'm looking forward to the next book. It's the first book in a new series. And this is definitely probably the world that I would like to slide into. Another world I wouldn't mind spending a little time in is The Space Between Worlds by Micaih Johnson, where people can travel, or at least this character, the main character, can travel to like different times and dimensions and visit her other selves living in them. That sounds kind of cool. I don't know about the world that her actual self lives in, but I think that one was also futuristic, if I remember correctly. I read it over a year ago now, or almost a year ago now. It had to have been over a year ago now. It was a really good book, though. They both were. And that's it. That is everything I have. I've decided to tag somebody, though. Somebody that does a lot of tag videos that I really enjoy watching. I would like to tag AJ Dunn from AJ Dunn Reads and Writes. I think that they might have some really fun answers to these questions. Who's that handsome boy? Do you see that cat on my screen? He's looking at himself. It's so cute. You like looking at how cute you are? I like looking at how cute you are too. You're just adorable. Martinelli. This is how we read together every single night. Every night. This is what we do. Huh? He just lays here and takes in the energy of the book that I'm putting off while I'm reading it. And we cuddle. And that's all I've got. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any comments on any of the books that I chose, or if you want to tell me your answers to any of these questions, please let me know what your answers are. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day or night. Happy reading. Bye.